Hey, Kezia, how are you?
I'm good.
Oh, well, it's so nice that today we can meet Kezia Tunnell, and she's a mom, a wife. She has 4 children, and she's running for the 8th District Congressional Office in 2022 in Virginia.
Yes.
Well, that's exciting.
It is exciting. It's been fun already, just meeting all the people in my district and making connections and really just getting to speak about why and who I am. And I can't wait. This is going to be an amazing season.
Yes. What does your district cover? What area, cities?
Yeah, we are Alexandria, a little bit of Falls Church, Arlington, and some of Fairfax County.
Wow.
Yes.
There are lots of immigrants in this area.
Yes, we're very large immigrant. We're like 45% minority. Yes. Yeah. That was actually one of the biggest things for me for choosing to run was my heart for the immigrant community and how we could better serve it within the Republican Party with conservative values. That I'm like, I am all in because this is the community that really God has placed on my heart for the last decade or more.
I see. So what do you do in everyday life?
Everyday life, there's a lot of different things. My husband and I own a business. We started a company in 2011 in the middle of a recession, actually. And most people thought that is so crazy to do that. But our first job that we pulled up on, our men came from Craigslist in a U-Haul truck. So it was an opportunity of a lifetime and has really been able to pivot us forward to continue what we're doing. And now we work on a very large amount of large-scale remodel and new builds in the commercial industry every single year.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're a businesswoman.
Yes. We operate in multiple states. We carry licensing in many different states all throughout the United States. So. Yes.
So how did you have this idea of running for office?
Well, I think that this is not a surprise for the people who know me. I'm very politically engaged, but more so I'm like very humanitarian engaged. I care about people, I care about issues, and I'm willing to fight and stand for communities through multiple different avenues. So politics has just become the natural progression of what I've already been doing. I think becoming a mother and seeing my children who are 17, 15, 11, and 8 years old right now and going, what is the future for my kids? You know, I want to be able to be a part of the process that guarantees my kids can have a better life than me or as equal life of me. We have been everywhere, and I've even seen soft socialism in Europe, and I don't want that for my kids. My kids are our legacy. They're our future. And so everything I do is for the legacy of my children and your children and for the future of America. And we're at a precipice right now that we will be in a situation where we'll own nothing. The government can own our homes, own our health care, our families, own every single thing, and then we'll have nothing to pass on to the next generation. And legacy is the main reason that I will continue to work for my country and for the people of America.
Can you share with us a little more about your background, where you grew up and
Sure.
your life story?
Yeah, so I was a pastor's kid. We have lived all over the place. My dad helped with home missions churches and small churches, and we helped build them out until we moved on to another one. I've been into I think close to 50 countries. I've seen communism, socialism, all of those different things. And I see what I don't want in our country. And my husband and I we were married very young. We were high school sweethearts, actually junior high sweethearts. I was 14, I was in 8th grade. He was 16. We met at church and we were married very young and we had kids young. And through just pure necessity, we had to mold our life so we could thrive. And not every moment has been perfect by any means, but we wanted to work hard for our family and our kids. And I was telling you earlier about when my kids were young and I necessarily couldn't work a 40-hour-a-week job because I had babies. I created a career out of photography, and because I'm a business person, it ended up growing into something much bigger than just a hobby. Actually, nothing I do ever becomes just a hobby once I make it public. And so we did that. And my husband was working as a field operations manager in our early years of marriage. I was working at that time for a construction company as the office manager, and I learned the ins and outs of the construction company from the inside. He learned the ins and outs from the management with the men and on the ground. And when we had the opportunity in 2011, by the grace of God, we were able to start our company. Since 2011, I have been working with Latino immersion programs for youth and getting them mentors, helping them through education, getting them through high school, in any situations that came up for that community. A lot of times we had a lot of teen parents, and making sure that we could go, this is not the end of the world, but this is a beginning and things are going to be different, but let's walk you through that. Loved it. It was one of my most favorite things I've ever got to be a part of. And then I've worked for Christian healing centers. And when I say healing, I meant more like a spiritual healing, faith healing. And I was not a counselor, I was operations manager for that too. And I worked for a nonprofit called Project 7 Billion, which is a company that goes, a nonprofit that goes all over the world. And we take children's curriculum on identity that I created called Create in Me. We took it to Israel and some other countries to teach children that they have a voice, they have an identity, and they have a purpose in this life. And we did that for several years, and also did that within the adult community with Create in Me. Also, we're all creative. We all have something to give. And teaching people how to do that, along with serving on advocacy boards and chairing boards for human trafficking, family reconciliation, like people who have come out of the prison systems, who need mentoring, counseling, jobs, helping them be connected within their community so they can integrate back into society as people who are productive. I believe 100% in working on life causes. I don't necessarily work in the pro-life issue very often, even though I am very pro-life, but I work on causes for the people who are currently living in our country or in the world that advocate for their life and for what they're doing.
So what strength do you think you have that will make you win?
I'm passionate about people. It's authentic for me. Like, people are amazing, and Americans are resilient and strong. And I don't believe that any of us are incapable of changing our thoughts and our strengths and educating ourselves. That's what's so amazing about Americans. And I have the ability to walk in and explain things from multiple different directions. So when people can walk out, they're like, oh, I learned something. And ultimately, I believe when you lead that way in truth and compassion and passion, that you are able to bring people over that aren't necessarily willing to do it by just being hard-nosed. This is what I believe, you better believe it. But instead, this is why I believe it, and this is why you belong here, believing the same things. So I truly believe that is what makes me a strong candidate. And not even just on top of that, this is what I've already been doing. I've already been working in these different communities and coalitions and boards, and this is my passion. And I don't think you can just walk in without passion for change and for people. And I love my nation, and I'm willing to sacrifice my life for our country.
So I know that you're a strong Christian. Mm-hmm. How does your faith impact your view on politics?
Well, we do know that America was founded on Christian values. So understanding that and knowing that that's the base of who we are. Of course, my Christian values absolutely is one of the biggest reasons that I can continue to stand with who America is fundamentally. So all of my decisions are made on who God is in my life and the values that I have.
So do you think Christians should be more involved in public affairs?
Absolutely, yes. You know, one of the things with our faith is that we do things we don't necessarily know the outcome for or the why. But we believe in a God that we believe speaks to us and is a part of our everyday decisions. And it's important to have people that have such a strong relationship with our Creator, and they make decisions based on the principles of God in the Constitution and in our Bible. Never before have we even seen any type of persecution for Christians until the last couple years. I'm so incredibly thankful for the previous administration for really standing for the Christian communities and allowing our religious rights, which is our constitutional right, to be able to stand and speak and do as we feel that God is telling us to do for all religions. It's not just Christians, but for all American religions. And I want that to be continued to be preserved. That's what makes America so exceptional. That's actually why America was created. So we would have the ability to serve God how we choose. And I never want to see that right taken away. Coming from other countries and seeing persecution and hearing the stories from Russia, from China, and from other nations of what they have to go through that we take for granted every single day. I don't want my country to get to a position that we go, wow, we should have done something different. I want to preserve our Christian values. I want to preserve our right to serve God how we choose. And we have to continue to put leaders in office that will do that.
Can you give us some outlines of what is your top priority?
Well, I have several different ones that are important to me. Our immigration issue and our immigration problem that we have in America is one of my top agendas. I have personally seen the consequences of what is happening in the United States right now. I've been to the border multiple times. I'm working on collecting data and information and people's story in South and Central America of their reasoning why they're coming and why they believe that it's okay to come to the US right now. And on top of that, I've been working in the minority and the Latino community for the last 12 years and really have been able to experience and understand the different situations people go through. So one of the things that we have right now is that Joe Biden and his administration has allowed the borders just to be completely open. And we already have 11 million immigrants within our nation who are ready to become United States citizens, who are here legally, that we need to go ahead and get them in to citizenship and create easy pathways for them to be able to be acknowledged as Americans. That we have to focus on those that have come here legally before we can just open up immigration status and American citizenship status to the other millions. But for right now, my focus will be on the 11 million. And my focus will also be on how do we create solutions that detour people from coming across the border illegally and informing the public of what's really happening and letting them understand that this isn't just a good servant thing for us to do by allowing people to come across, but understanding how the cartels work, how it's creating human trafficking, drug smuggling, what it's done to America through fentanyl, and all the other issues when we just allow open borders and we have no control of who's coming over or why they're coming over. Now, I will say that the Latino community and the other nations that are coming across, there are some really amazing people. And I know from me personally and my family, we have been deeply impacted by the immigrant community who have come across the borders at times. And I am incredibly grateful. But I will also say that we have to do something better than what we're doing now, because people's lives are at stake. People's futures are at stake. My family, our children's futures are at stake. Our nation is at stake if we do not know what's coming across our borders. America really is one of the most amazing nations in the world. I've been all over the world, and we get off the plane from a country and we want to kiss the earth and eat Chick-fil-A immediately. So I understand that there's great opportunity in the American dream. I mean, my family and I are products of the American dream. So I see that and I understand. But this is America. This is the United States. And we have to be able to preserve why we're the United States. And that's why it's so essential as Republicans that we have a clear identity of what that means, what our conservative values are, how we honor America, how we honor our flag. And that is core. And regardless of who we are as Christians or people, we're also Americans. And I am a Christian, and I love people genuinely. And I've served on mission trips and medical missions and different things all over the world. But again, our borders have to be secure. Our children have to be safe. We cannot allow for unvetted situations to come into our nations. It's heartbreaking. I've seen it personally. I can hear, when I close my eyes, I hear the baby screaming. I can see it. I can see it all, and definitely have compassion towards the issue. But I'm angry at what the cartels are doing to the people. And that is where we can't even do that as Christians or Americans. We cannot allow it. One of the things I saw in October, all along the banks, were these little wristbands. And the cartels put these wristbands on the people to track who belongs to which cartel, how much money they are paying to come across, and then they discard them when they come into America. But I had spoken to a group of people from Nicaragua that had come across our borders, and they had told us that they had paid like $5,000 a person to come across, and then the cartels bring them over. But the cartel that had brought them from their country up into Central America and to Mexico actually was murdered by another cartel. And that cartel was now enforcing them to pay $20,000 extra once they're in America to the cartel that now owned them. So now in America, because we have an open border situation and because we want to be compassionate, we now have a human trafficking issue that we are complicit in, that we are helping to continue, and we cannot do that. As Christians, as Americans, we cannot be a part of that. So in America, in the state of Virginia, in other states across America, we now have indentured servants. And I believe that regardless of my compassion as a Christian, we have to be more compassionate about the end game here for the people that are now in this nation illegally and have been brought here as human trafficking victims.
Right. And I know that you are all for legal immigration.
All for legal immigration. I actually think that we should encourage legal immigration. Our birth rate in America has dropped below 1.7 now. In 2017, they told us that we would have to increase our immigration by 400% every single year to keep our economy going. So we know that. So we know the need for migrants and immigrants to come in. Absolutely know the need, and I honor that and I value that. But I do believe we need to have a proper vetting system, and we have people coming in that want the best for America and want truly the American dream.
Yeah, it's, I myself is an immigrant. I know there's so many people who come here legally, but they have to wait so long before they get the citizenship.
Yes, that is so true. And not only the wait, but the cost.
Right.
Lawyers can charge $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $12,000, and it's ridiculous. There should be a set cost of what we're looking at for someone to be able to become an American citizen.
Right, yeah. And it's not fair that sometimes the illegal immigrants gets the citizenship quicker than the legal immigrants.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We definitely need to have value on the people who have done this legally. And that is completely my heart, is moving the people who are here legally and they're ready and they've been vetted and they've been loved and they've been immersed a part of the American community. And now it's time to say, welcome home, you're an American.
Do you have any plans on education?
Yes. So I, of course, as you know, this is a state issue when it comes to free choice and school choice, but I absolutely stand behind Youngkin and the local administrators who are going to enforce that and help with that, and I want to be a strong component for it. And I definitely believe that we need to do better. We absolutely have to do better. And school choice is essential, especially for failing schools. Another thing too to think about is that we have schools who are underperforming, who are receiving lots of funding, especially in our area, in District 8, they're receiving lots of funding. And we need to hold people accountable. What are you spending the money on? Where is the money going? I read somewhere yesterday about, not just yesterday, but before, but I was reading about the student unions and how they're actually like taking and ciphering money back out of the public schools to get the money to the unions. Then the unions are giving it to the Democrat Party to continue to push their agenda. So ultimately, we're just funding the teachers unions that are funding the Democratic Party, and we absolutely have to do something about that from a federal party or federal level on how we deal with the school or the teachers unions. Our children are not an agenda. Our children are our legacy, and we have to pursue truth even when truth hurts and marks us. We have to go, yes, we were a part of that, but that is not who we are today, and that is not who my kids are tomorrow, and we can do better as Americans, but we have to do it based on the truth of our history and build upon the things we've made mistakes and the things we have done right. We continue moving forward in that direction. Actually, denying the truth regresses us back, and we are going to have to relearn everything we've walked through if we regress. So we can only build upon the truth, because eventually they'll have to go back to that. But how far back will we go before we have to move forward again? And I don't believe that's necessary. Another thing I read was that only giving less than $1,000 per student from the federal level, from the state of Virginia. I really think it's important that we go in and we really look at how we're allocating funds to our students. We are, I believe, number 14 or 15 in the world in education, which is incredibly low since we're supposed to be the leaders of the free market and a superpower. And we can do better. It's just how we're allocating funds and how we're holding teachers accountable and what we're going to do with the teachers unions, all within things that I believe that we can do from a federal level by partnering with the state of Virginia and really working together to improve the education for our children. And all based on truth. We cannot allow our kids to be taught lies any longer. And that can be done through the Department of Education and holding them accountable also for what they're teaching our children in our school systems.
You have 4 children.
I do.
Wow. How old are they?
I have a 17-year-old son, a 15-year-old, a 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
So how do they like the idea of you running for office?
I will say they're really proud of me.
Wow.
It's a great sacrifice for our family. I think sometimes we don't give credit enough to the people who decide to run or work in government for the sacrifices that they give for their family. And my kids and my husband have been the most sacrificial in this season and will continue to be. And I'm so incredibly grateful to have their support. I couldn't do it without my kids. And I think they're more proud of me than I am of myself. And I have people who come to me and talk to me about how my kids will speak about me when I'm not there. And it just really touches me and moves my heart. This is why we do it. We do it for our families so they can continue to live out an American life.
Yeah, that's so beautiful to fight as a family.
Yes.
Well, I was looking at the history of this district.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Republicans didn't win.
No. No. This is a deep blue district. You are absolutely correct. It is disheartening when I hear people say, well, this is a lost district. It's not worth its time to even run in it. I mean, if you look at only the numbers, that is true. But if you look at the potential and the willingness for the right candidate to fight and to go after the votes and to really seek it, I believe nothing is unreachable. And this is a community that is important. District 8 houses our Pentagon, government offices. Like, this is an important district. And to just give it away and tell a Democrat, oh, you can have it, no big deal, and to let it continue to become more socialized. Instead, we should put the time, the effort, and fight for our beliefs as Republicans here. It's no more unwinnable than any other district, but it does take money, it takes time, the pursuit, and the absolute dedication and hard work to reach communities that sometimes the Republicans count out. I just refuse to do that.
I see. Yeah, you do like a warrior.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have any special words for the Chinese American communities?
I think what I was telling you earlier, I saw the Chinese American community, like in DC over the last couple of years, really fight for our nation. It was one of the most impactful things I think I've ever seen. Just the petitions and the money that was poured in and the sacrifices that the community made to fight for America. It actually was one of the most inspiring things for me, and it really pushed me to go, if people who are not born here and have had to come here, leave their families, leave everything that they know to come and fight for our country and to be a part of this process, then it's most important that I do that also. So thank you. Thank you for fighting for America. Thank you for standing for our values and for the American dream and for our Constitution. I am so greatly encouraged by what you do, and I stand with you. And I'm here to help, and I'll be on your next petition races with you and anything to help with standing for America and for what's right.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Of course.
It's a great time.
Thank you. It's an absolute honor. Thank you.
And Lord, we ask for your mercy, God. We ask for your mercy. We know that America has a purpose and a plan, Lord. As a daughter, Lord, I say that I will stand for your kingdom, not only today, but tomorrow and the next day. I ask of the people that are standing in front of me and that are listening on the airways, that you stand for the kingdom of God and you stand for America, that you will be a righteous nation underneath the Father.